displayed for everyone to see as it pertained to safety. And I wrote one out using my pretty strong vocabulary, and I showed it to Jason, and he said, "This is great. I'm gonna write this down." And he started typing it into his computer, and then pulled up his email and said, "Can I keep this?" And I said, "Why do you need to keep it if you just typed it down?" And he said, "Just to double check or to improve upon it." And I thought, this dude is about to take credit for my mission statement. And I said, no, because I want a copy of it. But I didn't refer to the fact that I thought he was going to steal it. So the next day I directly hand this to Mike before Jason could even send it to him. And Jason kind of shoots me a look. And from that moment, I was like, all right, it's on. I didn't let him know it was on, but in my head, I was like, all right, this guy, he's got to go. Because that was the first time I had seen it firsthand. But this whole time, everyone was kind of in fear for their jobs, because history had just shown that it didn't matter who you were or whether you were respected there or whatever. Like, it felt like anyone could be fired at any time, which was not a good environment to be in. And the people on my shift, whose respect I had for a long time, saw me working closely with Jason. And I hadn't considered what people would think of me by that association. But I came to the realization that a lot of the guys who spoke Hmong didn't trust me anymore. And except for Johnny, Johnny would try to, tell them that I wasn't trying to screw with their jobs or anything like that, but I guess they didn't believe it. And this all came to a head one day when there was a fire in the gutter broom department, which Aseng worked in. The fire was caused by, I guess, a filter that should have been cleaned or something. The things can easily catch fire if they're not consistently cleaned. But it kind of did some damage to my machine. And I went around looking for Jason. Couldn't find him. Went into the office. Couldn't find him. Went out into the parking lot. And about 5 minutes later, he comes walking out with, an armful of Quick Trip items and stuff like that. And he reeked of weed. And I told him, look, there was a fire in the gutter brooms. And he said, what? Is it out? And I said, yeah. Yeah, I took care of it. Filled out a report and everything. And he's like, okay. Which one? And I told him it was Aseng's. And that was kind of the end of our discussion right there. And in the morning, after the shift had ended, I went and talked to Marianne, and I said, look, this guy, there was a fire in the GBs, and I had to look for him for forever. And I couldn't find him. And he comes back smelling like weed. What more do you need? I said, can't you drop a UA on him? And she said, don't worry about it. Just get some rest. Let me take care of it. I was like, are you going to do something or not? And she said, don't worry about it. As far as the Seng goes, I'll handle that for now. Which she kind of clarified as she was going to make sure nothing happened to his Seng. But the next day, I thought, you know what? I need to take matters into my own hands here. And previously, right after the fire had happened, I was talking to his Seng when I was filling out my report. And I was asking him what happened, and he was scared to answer me out of fear for his job. Because he thought because of the damage to the machine that he was likely going to be fired. And he kind of told me, I need job. And I thought, I know. I just need to write down what happened, Seng. Just tell me how this happened. And he said, I have family. And I thought, yeah, I know. I was saying, look, I'm trying to help you out here, buddy. Nobody's mad at you. Just tell me what happened. And he was afraid to talk to me. And I'd gotten tired of this happening, and I was frustrated with being associated with Jason and the fact that I would potentially be out to get some of these people I had worked so closely with. So the next day, I knew Mike was going to sit in on our end of shift meeting. So I prepared my safety talk, and Mike refers to the fire in the gutter brooms and kind of reminds everybody that they need to clean part of the filter for it in order to avoid that. And it's me, Mike, and Jason standing right there, and I decide this is where I'm going to take my shot. I gave my safety talk, and I said, all right, Mike just covered that we need to clean the GB filters, but I'd also like to remind you guys of the drug and alcohol policy here. Okay? You guys can't be coming into work stoned or high or under the influence and operating these machines or walking around these machines, because, you know, not only are you more likely to get hurt, you're also a liability for the company, and you could get other people hurt. And I said, of course, this doesn't apply to anyone sitting in front of me. But yesterday, someone who should have been present during the fire was not present. They were out in their car, smoking weed. And that's unacceptable. And Jason immediately turns to me and goes, if you see that happen, you should let me know. And I look right at him, look right at Mike, and I say, in this case, I didn't have to. And I walk out of the room. The next day, we were told that Jason was fired, and nobody had figured out why. But Marianne later told me that upon hearing that, she had dropped a UA on him because he was still in his probationary period and he failed. So, a couple days later, a Seng comes up to me with this Tupperware dish. And he said, "My wife make, thank you." And it was some kind of cheesy vegetable rice dish, and it was delicious. But I thought back to the moment in which Mr. Martin had told me to use my powers for good. And I thought if ever a moment had embodied that advice, it had been this moment. And I was very proud of what I was able to do, and the further harm to the people working there that I was able to prevent. And that was presented to me, a symbol of that pride was presented to me in the form of a cheesy vegetable rice dish. Definitely one of my proudest moments. So, kind of wanted to share that story with you to help bring that idea full circle. The idea of using your powers for good, using the situations or the influence that you have for not what's necessarily good for you, but for the greater good overall. Because there were several times where I could have I could have played it safe and not tried to help the people around me, but I kind of put my neck on the line to make that happen when I didn't have to. So, something to think about. Definitely one of the proudest moments in my life, as weird as it is to call that proud, getting another man fired. But I'm going to go ahead and end this with a song here. This is Born Tight by Man Man. And there's only 2.5 minutes left on this thing, so it's only going to be part of the song.